Quick animation tip talking about constraints in Unreal Engine. Constraints are a way of parenting an object to another object, but being able to animate that parenting on and off. And sometimes if you've got components in Blueprints, you can't directly parent them together. For example, a metahuman character or another character with a character control rig, if I want to attach this hand to the leg, I can use constraints. And to find those, I'm going to make sure that I've got the constrain window open, which actually I don't even know where that is. It just shows up if I'm in animation mode. I think it's usually docked up here. And if I want to constrain or temporarily parent this hand control to a leg, I would select that control that I want to constrain. And then in the constrain window, I'm going to click the add, and I've got a few different options. I can constrain specifically position or rotation or scale, or a parent constraint does all three. Look at is a sort of aim constraint, which makes sure that something is always aiming at whatever the target is. So I would say parent constraint, and then it's going to give me a little picker, and I can actually pick the thing that I want to constrain to. So for example, if I click parent and then use the eyedropper to click the body, it's already constrained, so it's not going to work, but it's going to then ask me what joint I want to constrain it to. But it's already constrained, so if I were to, for example, move this leg or rotate that foot control, the hand is attached to it. Now, constraints can be animated on and off in the constrain window and constrain panel. There's a little plus keyframe, which will key it on and off at the current position, which means that it is always going to line up properly as long as you keyframe this on the frame that precedes or is directly on the frame that you can start moving that object. If you were to look in the graph editor, and I'm going to select that control, you can see that there is a parent section here, and we can see that this is currently parented to the calf knee left bone, and it comes unparented right here. Right? That's where I added a keyframe. However, if we look at this, you can see that it actually pops at the end of that parenting. And that's because I've actually been doing animation passes on this, and the knee's not in the exact same spot as it was before when I unparented it, when I unconstrained it. Not a big deal. To fix that, I'm going to go to a frame when it is still in the correct position, when it is still parented, and I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I've got that left hand control to knee constraint. And I'm going to go ahead and add a key. And if we look in the graph editor, you can see that that updates itself. Now it does default to some kind of strange tangents, which I don't love. So I just need to fix that by selecting these keyframes. And I'm going to just press the number 1 on the keyboard to go to auto tangents, or we can go to the little drop down list and go to auto. And now it does stop the constraint a frame earlier than I really want it to, but the position is correct now. So I can actually come in and select these old bad keyframes and extend that constraint by 1 frame there. And now we can see that that no longer pops. Now you can constrain controls, for example, to multiple objects. So we can see here that this hand actually goes to the head and is constrained to the head. And it's the same system where I would just select the control that I wanted to add a constraint to, click the little plus button, select the constraint type that I want, eyedropper to the actor or component in the scene. If it's a skeletal mesh, it'll give you the option of selecting the specific bone. And then we can adjust that later on if we need to, just by adding or removing keys with this constraint system. All right, good luck.